Hello everyone. Today I'm going to be sharing on something that has to do with race. And before I continue, if you're listening to this on YouTube, please like, subscribe, share. I really need that encouragement. I do need it. Thank you very much. So the topic of race, I will first of all say this as somebody from the Black race, an African, an Ijebu woman, from the Ijebu kingdom, as it were. We're not obsessed with race, and we don't talk about race, because I noticed that when the issue comes up, people who are non-blacks, they're always saying, get over it, this happened, whatever this is. I mean, they call the transatlantic slave trade and the colonization of a huge chunk of the world's population, they call that this, in a very dismissive way. I noticed that people who do things like that, when it's not a matter of if, when it happens to them, they are the one who scream the loudest, they shout the loudest. You understand? And then you are wondering, why are you shouting? I thought you told me this was not supposed, it was a this. And then they accuse you like they are the first person ever. That sort of thing will happen too. People who minimize other people's experiences or dismiss other people's experiences, they can't handle it. People that tell other people to get over it, if it happens to them, they will not get over it. They're going to keep shouting and keep screaming about it. And they're not going to let anybody have peace, right? That is on one hand. On the other hand, I would say that Black people, generally, they don't focus on race. They are too focused on getting ahead in life. They are too focused on survival. I mean, when you're done surviving, that is when you now start trying to get ahead. So you're busy trying to make ends meet. You're busy trying to do something for yourself. If Black people were all about complaints, you will not see both positive and negative hustles. They will just sit down on their behind somewhere and be asking for reparations. And you cannot call yourself a Christian, just so you know, or a Bible scholar, and not understand that reparations, also known as restitution, is scriptural. The Bible says, no, God said in His word that when a thief or anyone takes something that does not belong to him, you will not just return it, you will return it sevenfold. That's what the Bible says. But of course, some people they don't even want to return what they stole or what they took or what was quote and unquote given to them. They don't want to return it at all, They're there arguing. But okay, like I said, I've said before, like, if you want reparations as a Black person, you need to consult with powers that are much more higher than those who owe you, so that power will compel them to release unto you what is rightfully yours. And that is not something you do in the physical, that's something you do in the spirit realm. It's a spiritual thing. You have to go in the spirit to do that. And I would say this, I don't trust African traditional religion to get your rights for you. They could not secure it to start with. I don't see how they are going to get it for you. So the Bible For people who say that they use the Bible to rob us, they use the Bible to, if the Bible was indeed used to rob the black race, then it is because the black people were ignorant of the content of that Bible. They didn't read it, or they read it and they read it upside down. Because if you understand the content of that book, you understand that more than half of that book is about warfare. So, and I think that's why, despite the fact that Ethiopia were like the strongest Christians, were the most popular African Christians who sought the religion, became it. As the Bible records it, it wasn't brought to them, they came for it. They came for it. It wasn't something that, was spread through violence. Are you kidding me? If Christianity was spread through violence initially, it was violence against Christians themselves. And while they were running for their lives, they ran with the gospel to the uttermost parts of the world, like Jesus said. But in the case of Ethiopia, they came for it. They came searching for it. It wasn't brought to them. When you come searching for something, nobody can give you hanky-panky. You know the original and you know what the Bible says. And that's why, the people who conquered Europeans when they were trying to invade Ethiopia were of the Abrahamic religion. But we're not ready to talk about that. They are the Abrahamic religion, right? The empress that pushed back on them was a Christian. That developed the military strategy that defeated the Europeans that were trying to encroach on the Ethiopian empire. It was a Christian empress. She built a church, a cathedral actually. She built a cathedral. And when, she felt it was time to retire, that she moved to the cathedral that she built. But she was the one that came up with the strategy. So if your Christianity is putting you in a place of defeat, then maybe you should look at it, because this one put them in the place of victory. Why are the other ones any different? I suppose one, it depends on who brought it to them or how they got it. That is one. I mean, they didn't go seeking for it, it was brought to them. And sometimes when an African does not work hard to get what they need, they sometimes do not value it. Not all of us, but sometimes they don't value it. You can't compare, the one of Queen Sheba who went seeking knowledge, and then the Ethiopian and then the Ethiopian eunuch that was under the authority of another queen who came to seek knowledge of what was written in the book of Isaiah. So you value something you traveled from far to come and get for your people, and he certainly didn't do it for himself. You take a permission from the queen, a eunuch, to go and for a personal religious expedition? Of course not. If there is something Ethiopians are, and I respect them for, is that they read a lot, they study a lot, and they seek knowledge. So they want to be up to date. It's like they want to be up to date with whatever it is that is going down or going on or going up. They don't want to be left behind. And so I don't think it was only religion they were seeking. They were also looking into everything that they could. Right? I know this is like It's still an intro. I'm setting the foundation for what I want to talk about. And like I said, it was the issue of race, but as it concerns marriage. Now, I would probably call this like 5+ hard facts or hard truths or bitter truths about race. And I believe the number one, based on what propelled me to start talking about this right now, is that interracial relationship has not erased racism, and I doubt it ever will. So it's not working. If it was working, it would have worked, because rumor has it that people fought for the right to marry each other, regardless of who the person's race is. Like, they fought for that right. But they fought for it, and racism still persists. So, if you are getting into an interracial relationship, don't you bring up this, well, it is beneficial also for both sides, because, it erases racial prejudices. No, sir, no, ma'am. It does not erase anything. The ones before you did not erase it. And you think what are you doing differently from your predecessors, from those who it was a crime for them to even be in a relationship? I don't know if you've watched that movie. I haven't. I just don't see the point of it personally for now. Okay. What was I saying? Yeah, I didn't see the need of watching that movie, but there was this couple, like the man is white and the woman is black, and it was against the law for them to be married, so they had to go to court and all of that to get, to assert their right to who they choose to love and who they choose to marry, kind of thing. And that was a long time ago. I can't remember what year that was, but it was several decades ago. So if they could not erase those lines up till this moment, if they could not erase racism, neither can you. So if you think you can, you have to be honest with yourself. Exactly what are you going to do that is different from what they have done or what they're doing? So if you're getting into an interracial relationship, and that's why on this issue, I agree with Dr. Omar, but I'm not going to tell people or insist that people must marry within their race. But you must understand that this is a personal thing you're doing. It is personal, and it is not beneficial as such to your race. So if you are into building your race and uplifting your race as a black person, marrying out of it is just not, it's counterproductive. You can make it work, but it would take more work. Also, there's another way to look at it. You can be married to somebody who is black, but on the inside, they hate their blackness. They hate the fact that they are black. And so you might as well be marrying a racist black person for all you know. Like the difference is just a skin color. The racism in terms of mindset is just there. The only difference is that this black person who hates black does not have the power and the privilege that a white person has. That's just the difference, Apart from that, nothing else. So that is fact number one. Interracial relationships do not erase or cancel racism, either in the society or in the person you're marrying, in the white person you're marrying, or in the family of that person you are marrying. So because we've heard stories where half black children or half black people don't have any kind of relationship at all with their white side of their family. The white side of their family excommunicated them, called them all the racist words there is to call them. They didn't say that this is my grandchild, or this is my cousin, or this is my nephew. No, you're a whatever. They just boycotted them, excommunicated them, and that was it. So if it's not even working to remove the racism in the families that are joined together, how do you think it's going to go to the society? For something to make and have an effect in the society, it has to have an effect in the family. It has to have an effect in individuals. And I've watched some, what is it called now, videos of people sharing their experiences, women mostly, sharing their experiences about, dating white men that were racist. Like, these white men were racist and they dated them. It's not as if they went after them. I mean, if a black woman is going to go after anybody, it's certainly not going to be a white man. It will be the white man coming after her. But it's shocking and not too surprising why the black men, the white men will go after the black men, even though they hate black people, probably including the person they are with. But they hate the blackness in the person, but they like the body, or they have a mission, that has nothing to do with love, obviously, So let it be known to you that you're not doing the world a favor. This is something you're doing for you. You're not doing the world a favor. In fact, you are doing your children you're reducing the acceptability of your children when you are in an interracial relationship. I'm just stating the disadvantage. But if love is there, genuine, true love from both of you, and you detest the system of racism, and you are committed, both of you are equally committed to dismantling racism, you can make it work. It's going to be a fight. Let me just put it to you right now, and I already did a video, or rather an audio of that one, and it's on YouTube. My name is at Adeoluwa, Musings of a Sanguine Christian Woman, on YouTube, so you can check that out there. So you will see something like mixed race, mixed heritage, multicultural people. That is like the topic there. I broke down the things that need to be talked about and need to be addressed, and how they may be addressed, right? So there's that. So you're doing this for you. Understand that, but you can use that to make a change. But it has to be very, very targeted. It has to be very, very specific, and it has to be deliberate. You have to be it won't just happen. You understand? Racism will not just disappear the moment you get married to each other and you're seen everywhere and you're posting videos together. No, honey, it's not going to go away like that. It's going to go away when you put on your boots and you get to work. You understand what I'm saying? Like you turn yourself into an anti-racism squad kind of thing. Anywhere you see racism, you go after it with everything that you have in you. When you do that, you raise children who will become social reform warriors, because they see the fight. They see that you really love each other, you love humanity, and you do not want these things to continue. It might not totally go down, but people would be very careful how they come around you, and they certainly will not want to mess with your child. And so you in your child growing up like that, seeing you that way, there's admiration. You don't have your child wishing you guys never met. You now have a child who is proud to have you as parents. Right? That is the spirit. You don't just sit down, relax, and enjoying your love. No. The world will not allow you do that. And you might be able to escape. Like I said, I already talked about that. I don't want to go into that right now because that would take a while. Okay, that would be like me repeating myself. So sorry. Please go and check it out in my YouTube channel at Adeoluwa, Musings of a Sanguine Christian Woman. Just find out multicultural people, mixed heritage people. I just chose those names because I thought they were more robust. They were more beautiful than using mixed race thing, because race at some point could sound like a slur, as we hear it. Historians tell us that there was nothing like race. Race was created like classism, like with the caste system, caste system, and where you decide who is elite, who is the most important person and the least important person kind of thing. That was where the issue of race came in. At least that's what historians, students of history have said in recent times. So that is that. Number 2, I'm not sure what number 2 is yet, but another truth about racism is that I wish I had written this down, but I thought I had it in my head. Well, I'll just continue speaking before I hit the main point. Now, the hard truth about it is that you could be dating a racist that has no power in form of a black person. So you can't exactly say they are racist though, because like I said, and like we all know, based on facts, racism is about power, right? So, and that power is something that black people are trying to get their own rightful share of at the moment. But right now, it's, the fairer your skin, the better. Now, a second hard fact that I would like to emphasize on, one just came to my mind right now, is that black people they're not, what's the word I want to use now? I don't want to use they're hated everywhere. That's the issue. I was trying not to use that. Black people can be racially profiled, are being racially profiled everywhere. Let me just use it that way. The second hard truth is that black people are being racially profiled everywhere. Systemic racism is everywhere. Like, there is no continent and no country that does not have a systemic racism going on. Now, you can say, what about the Africans? Africans are the ones living in Africa now, right? Well, that depends on what part of Africa we're talking about. But regardless of which part of Africa we're talking about, the only difference between those North Africans, where it seems like they are more Arab in nature, and the other parts of Africa that are just Africans, the only difference is that the systemic racism in West Africa, East Africa, South Africa, thereabout, the systemic racism is managed and supervised by Black people. So you have a situation where it is your own people that are afflicting you because they have been hired to do so. And they have the support of, the evil white supremacists sponsoring them, financing them, empowering them to be tax masters over people of color. And that is why you find a situation where Black people will have a hard time doing business in their own country. Very hard time doing business in their own country. But when somebody else comes into that country, when I say somebody else now, I mean somebody who is, like, let me say like Nigeria, for example, and it has caused, see this systemic racism thing, it's so, it reminds me of an episode of Joda Akbar I was watching, the serial. I don't know whether it's episode maybe between episode 8 to 12, thereabout on YouTube, between episode 8 or 12 or something, where the king was that, I cannot believe you people were defeated on your own soil. I don't know right now whether I should salute the victory of this enemy, or I should cry about or whether I should cry about his own defeat as a people. Like, that is how I feel right now. I don't want to eulogize the evil mechanism of globalized looters, right? But I must say it's well structured. So structured, in fact, that it makes sure that if you are an indigene of a country as a Black person, no matter the country you are in, if you are an indigene of that place, be it America or Nigeria, it is tough and almost difficult and almost impossible to thrive to the best of your ability. It feels like you are being suppressed. No, not feels. You are being suppressed in your own country. But the moment you move to another country, even within Africa, you will thrive. Hence, where xenophobia came up. As intelligent as Black people are, we don't like to see the big picture. And because we're not broadening our scope to see the big picture, we fight over symptoms instead of looking for the causes and dealing with the cause. Because if we're seeking the cause, the symptoms is what we're dealing with. Ghanaians will complain that when Nigerians come to their country, they do well there. They are taking all their, and then they started to say, Nigerians cannot go into retail, they should go into wholesale. But even at that, you still find that they heavily tax Nigerians in Ghana. Heavy taxation. Of course, the government will come out and deny it, but it is one thing to write something on paper and say this is how we do things, and it's a different thing for your foot soldiers to do something different, and then you wonder who gave them those orders to do it. Nobody gets punished. The other day, something happened with the Nigerian embassy. I think it was gutted with fire or something, can't remember. Something happened to the Nigerian embassy in Ghana, and nobody was caught for whatever happened there. It was just an accident. They explained it away. Every negative thing that happens to Nigerians in Ghana and indeed some other parts of Africa, they explain it away. In fact, they blame Nigerians for it. And none of us, Ghanaians will come to Nigeria and thrive. I mean, it's because they were thriving so much that the term Ghana must go came up. Because they were thriving too much. And none of us thought that there has been a system established psychologically, economically, and indeed, most importantly, spiritually, to see to it that Black people will find it hard to thrive in their place of origin. I mean, look at yourself and look everywhere. You see, I will give you an example. Nigeria. They say Lagos is the melting point of culture. But you see, a lot of people left their states of origin, their kingdoms of origin, to come to Lagos for a better life. Do you see that? So, in other words, when they leave, in other words, when they leave their village, I'm not living in my village, for example, I'm living somewhere else. But I know that if I was the things I have access to where I am living, I wouldn't have access to it if I'm in my village, in my ancestral, homeland, in my ancestral home kingdom. I wouldn't have it there. So I had to move. So there is that thing they've done against Black people generally, that where they come from, they must move somewhere else. They must move to another, even if it's a neighboring town or a neighboring village, before they can make ends meet or headway. Then, of course, it's slightly better than the village. But then you come to Lagos. It's another struggle. But at least you are getting something. But then you see Ghanaians, South Africans, Kenyans, people, Africans, Black people from other parts of the continent come into your country, into Nigeria, and within less than a year, they are doing great. And you're like, what is going on here? Like, why? Is there something I'm doing wrong? What is going on here? But you see, we are forgetting that the Kenyan, the South African, and Ghanaian left their own country to come to Nigeria. It means that they were not doing as well as they knew they had the capacity to be in their country, so they had to move somewhere else. Same thing with Black Americans that are struggling until they move maybe to back to Africa or something. That is when they begin to see some significant progress, or they move to somewhere else, anywhere but where they originated from, or where they can trace their roots 3 generations. As long as you can trace your roots in a location for 3 generations, chances are the progress will be stunted. And so you have to move to a place where you were not born there, neither were your parents born there, but you have people who are your neighbors. That's where they live, and you go there, and then because it's a new place, you do well there. There's something about that. There's something about that. So there is the second hard fact about racism, is that systemic racism is everywhere, including Africa. I just explained to the best of my ability at this point how that is. And we're already 35 minutes plus in on this one. So I guess we're going to be having a part 2. I'll stop there, and this time around I'm going to pen the other points. I thought I was going to be able to go through 5, but will you look at that? It didn't happen that way. Well, I'm going to be quoting from the Bible by saying, guard your hearts with all diligence, for out of it flows the issues of life. It is also written in the Bible that they that know their God, they shall be strong and they shall do exploits. And my father in the Lord said that they that do not know their God, they shall be weak and be exploited. So, pick your soap, I guess, and do what you need to do to become strong, right? Now, the next thing is that God has not given us the spirit of fear, but of power, love, and a sound mind. So if you're having fear, and fear is a thing for you, then just know it's from the enemy, not from God. And this one is a quote from Charles B. of blessed memory. He said, he will say, if we each one can reach one, then each one can teach one. What a better Nigeria or any part of the world you're in will it be? Whether you know it or not, whether you like it or not, you are your brother and your sister's keeper. So show love just because. Maintain peace within yourself, and as much as possible, be at peace with all men. But don't hesitate to defend yourself when and where necessary. Take care. Shalom.